I believe we have enough people here for a quorum. So at this time, Lisa Young will take a roll call to see if a quorum is present.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the committee, when I call your name, please respond. Richard Allen. Manuel Castillo.
Manuel Castillo. Take a roll call to see if a quorum is present.
Tracy Conaway.
Present.
Conaway. Thank
Hello?
you.
Present.
Hello? Wendy Kreitz. Michael Denby. Jesse Duarte.
Here.
Thank you. Ron Gritman.
Oh, here.
Thank you. Jack Mincallis. Brian Kehoe. Paul Montes.
Here.
Thank you. Amy Moreno. Patrick Murphy.
Here.
Thank you. Robert Parks.
Here.
Thank you. Aaron Red. Nick Russo.
I am present. I
Jason
am present in
Chambers.
place of Nick Russo.
Jason Chambers.
Present.
Thank you. JB Shaw.
I'm here.
Thank you. Harold Sigüenza.
Here.
Thank you. Ramona Simpson.
Present.
Thank you. Robert Vondenacker.
Present.
Thank you. Steve White.
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Quorum is now present. The meeting of the MAG Solid Waste Advisory Committee is called to order. All members are participating virtually. Please remember to mute your phone or your computer when you're not speaking. If you're attending by phone, only press the *6 to unmute. We are operating our committee meetings in full transparency, giving the public access to committee meetings, materials, and discussion. The public cannot view the chat comments. As a result, we're disabling the chat feature in all committee meetings moving forward. If you need technical assistance during a meeting, please contact the helpline at 602-452-5095 or contact MAG staff. We appreciate your understanding and helping to maintain transparent discussions for the benefit of the public. This moment, I will call to the audience. An opportunity will be provided to the members of the public to provide input through written comment to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee on items that are not on the agenda, that are within the jurisdiction of MAG, or on items on an agenda that is discussion not for action. Members of the public are asked to submit written comments related to this meeting through the MAG website at azmag.gov/comment and indicate for which meeting the comment is intended. Comments may be sent at any time leading up to the meeting, but must be received at least 1 hour prior to the posted start time for the meeting. Comments received prior to the deadline will be read out loud during the meeting. Comments must not exceed 3 minutes in length. A total of 15 minutes will be provided for the call to the audience agenda item, unless the Solid Waste Advisory Committee requests an exception to this limit. Please note that comments received for the agenda items posted for action will be read at the time the item is heard. Have we received any public comments?
Mr. Chair, we did not receive any public comments.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Next item on the agenda will be the approval of the September 14th, 2021 meeting minutes. Review and approve the September 14th meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
So
This
moved.
is, oh, go, I'll second.
Sorry. Sorry, that was Patrick Murphy with City Mesa.
And this is Ramona Simpson, Town of Queen Creek, second.
So I have a motion from Patrick and a second from Ramona. Okay,
This is Zach Cushland from Salt River Landfill. I'm standing in for Richard Allen today.
thank you, Zach. Is there any discussion on the meeting notes from the last meeting? If not, let's do a roll call. Lisa, can you please do the roll call?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the committee, when I call your name, please state your vote. Zach Cushion,
Yes. Yes.
thank you. Thank you. Tracy Conaway,
Yes.
thank you. Jesse Duarte,
Yes.
thank you. Ron Gritman,
Yes.
thank you. Adam Kurtz,
Yes.
thank you. Paul Montes,
Yes.
thank you. Amy Morano, Patrick Murphy,
Yes.
thank you. Robert Parks,
Yes.
thank you. Aaron Redd, Kason Chambers,
Yes.
thank you. JB Shaw,
Yes.
thank you. Harold Sangüesa,
Yes.
thank you. Ramona Simpson,
Aye.
thank you. Robert Vandenacker,
Aye.
thank you. Steve White,
Yes.
thank you. Mr. Chair, we have a unanimous vote.
Great, thank you, Lisa. So for our first action requested item, we have a household hazardous waste management discussion. This is a presentation done by, is Frank Sanchez on? Do we have him here? I guess nobody from ACT is here, so. I assume that we would just move on to the next item then, with they're not in attendance, so.
Yes, that's
Apologies.
correct.
Pardon?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that's correct. I will try to reach out and see if Frank can hop on here,
Okay,
see if there's any issues. Okay.
yeah, there might be some issues with them getting on, so. Okay, next item on the agenda would be, we have well, it's myself doing the City of Goodyear Public Works Department Safety Program. So solid waste collections is one of the most dangerous jobs in the country, which we all know. Since 2017, the City of Goodyear Public Works Department has implemented a safety program that has led to a noticeable reduction in the number of injuries and accidents that we've had within our division. We gave a brief overview to our directors with this presentation, and I just thought, I think we're onto something here, so we just wanted to share it with the group and just kind of share some of the ideas and things that we've done within our division. So without further ado, if we want to get started. So basically, this was a presentation, like I said, we presented within our group to kind of celebrate the culture of safety within the City of Goodyear. Next slide, please. Our Public Works Safety Committee is mostly made up of field staff. This is a program that was started years ago, early 2000s, made up of, like I said, field staff. And the safety committee is they're responsible for promoting a culture of safety within the department and help to give staff the confidence knowing that we support safety as a main priority within our division, our whole department actually. The committee meets monthly to discuss safety topics, items and issues that come up. For example, like boot vouchers, for staff that need special boots and whatnot. Cost of everything's gone up, so they have those discussions about stipends to help cover the cost for that. That's just one example. We also meet monthly. They also promote cross-divisional inspections. So members of the safety committee have an opportunity to go out and do inspections on other divisions, which helps to give a different set of eyes on operations and see things that normal day-to-day people that do their job might not necessarily see every day. It's just another set of eyes on what we all do. We also maintain and collect data, which is used to improve safety practices. These are items that are shared within the group, discussed openly within all the divisions during these safety committee meetings. We also promote safety training within public works. So these, we have several formats that we use electronically that staff can use. And like during the pandemic, our staff was given tablets to use so they could do training at home instead of having them work in a bullpen or within offices. And that seems to have worked out real well. We've continued to implement that practice. We've also, we keep leadership updated on safety programs and the successes and challenges. We have, without the leadership involvement, it's hard to obviously get support. We communicate the needs that we need, through budgetary means. If there's a need for PPE or something like that we need, that's communicated up through the chain. Next slide, please. So the safety survey, we did a safety survey in 2021. Prior to that, starting back in 2018, as you can see, the numbers look very good. This was something to celebrate as we move forward. But when we first started doing the surveys back in 2018, the numbers weren't this good. A lot of staff didn't feel that the supervisory staff was really supporting them in their safety, supporting them safety-wise. Back in 2018, those numbers was like 69% instead of the 98% that we see on this slide. Employees feeling safe in their work environment, back in 2018, it was more like 63%. As you can see now, it's much higher, almost at 100%. As well as SOP and JHA, so standard operating procedures and job hazard analyses that we've done within the divisions. That was a new practice for everyone. At first, everybody was very skeptical about sitting down and putting everything on paper, but as we worked through the process, more and more of our staff became comfortable with doing that. And back in 2018, again, we were at 63%, and then we're now at 97% as far as seeing the effectiveness of doing those programs. And then as far as feeling safe, and that the safety committee helps to address the issues that come up or concerns. Back in, again, 2018, it was at 65%. And the last one that we've done, we're up past 90%. So, I mean, these are great stats to share. Again, we wanted to celebrate that. Next slide, please. So to focus more on the solid waste division, this was one of the slides that we presented. We all know that it is one of the most 10 dangerous jobs in the world. In fact, on top of that, truck driving is the sixth most dangerous. So in essence, we kind of do both. So we've definitely seen a real issue with distracted driving. That was a big topic of discussion that we had. And as our city continues to grow, our mileage within our division grows. So in Goodyear, we do contract our curbside through right-of-way disposal. However, we do our bulk collections and our container deliveries and our inspection processes in-house. So we still have a lot of mileage to cover. Plus, our city is very large. I mean, we go from Luke Air Force Base on the north end all the way down to Mobile on the south end. So we have quite a bit of miles to travel. So as I said, distracted driving, it's a real problem. I don't know if some stats, distracted driving is the most common cause of road accidents in the United States, resulting in more crashes every year than speeding, drunk driving, and other major accidents, which it is a real issue. So with growth, like I said, it comes increased number of mileage driven. Also, the number of injuries and equipment damage in our division started to increase. And this started back in 2013. We started seeing a lot of injuries, a lot of property damage, and some other items. We tried training programs and but we started to see a lot of issues. So we knew that we needed to change a lot of what we do. And so we started to implement some programs starting in 2017. And the next slide has a video that kind of showcases some of that. Could we go to the next slide, please? Hopefully the video works.
At one point, we had a real problem with injuries. So early on in 2017, we decided, let's take a look at this to talk about the number of injuries that we were seeing in solid waste, and it was pretty alarming. Using the data that we had from SWANA, we actually thought, you know what, let's incorporate this program. This is something that we do as a team in the morning. They're based on a lot of what athletes do. It gets your body ready just for the day's work. It's a good way to just kind of start the day off on the right foot. Once we incorporated that, we saw an immediate decline in the number of injuries that we had. We're looking for any abnormalities with the truck, making sure all the lights work, the brakes work, making sure basically everything on the truck works before he leaves the yard. On the tractor, we're doing the same thing, making sure everything's functioning properly on the tractor before we even leave the yard. Recently, we've seen an increase in distracted drivers, which is one of the worst things that we have to deal with. You have people that are weaving in the road, or they pull out in front of the truck and whatnot. We've seen that in the videos where our drivers have had to take action to avoid an accident. So we've added the third eye system. It gives us a 360-degree view around the truck. There's cameras on both sides of the truck, in cab, facing forward, and on the rear of the truck. It's helping us make better drivers, and it improves our driving. A lot of times we can use that in our safety meetings to discuss, how better to handle situations and prevent them from happening in the future if possible. We looked at what some of the other municipalities were doing. They were switching to a curbside collection. Residents could go online, sign up, then we basically schedule them, and our vendor actually goes out and picks up the material. This program has really come a long ways. Getting staff involvement from the field level all the way up to upper management has been very important for us. Our mission statement in Public Works is safety, reliability, and improvement. We are in the community. We want to make sure that we're operating safely. Everything that we do, that we've gone over the standard operating procedures, the job hazard analysis, so then that way we can do our jobs better, to protect our community, to keep the streets clean, and just keep everybody safe.
Next slide, please. Thanks. So just to recap, just kind of an overview of everything that we have accomplished within our division. We get more involvement from our staff during the SOP and JHA process. So they have buy-in on safer practices that we incorporate into our everyday job duties. We've engineered some safety devices on our equipment. I'm not sure if on the video you saw, like with the, they call them tweels on the front of the tractors. That's really cut down our breakdown time on the tractors, which has also helped keep the tractors out in the field longer, so our staff aren't, put at risk having to work by hand. We've also incorporated dual controls on our rear loaders, so that way our staff is not exposed to oncoming traffic when they're working out in the field. So they have the option of being on the side of the truck that's away from traffic. We eliminated the rear windows in the vehicles, which cuts down on the amount of heat that's in the vehicle. As you can see, we also incorporated the third eye system, which we've seen a decrease in risky driving behaviors as a result of that. And in the event that our drivers are in an accident or there's some type of mitigation, it helps to mitigate an issue if one of our drivers is in an incident. And it's also used to verify service and review routes for efficiencies, which has come in very handy for us. As far as the HHW, we used to do our regional events, which I do miss. It was nice to have those large events. However, with COVID, we had to modify and rethink how we were going to do our collections. So we based the moving to curbside on the success of other cities, and thank you, Peoria and Surprise and some of the other cities that we've talked to about going to a curbside program, and I appreciate the help that everybody's provided. It's worked out very well for us. Since the regional events required a lot of people, we've actually cut down the amount of costs that we've incurred for overtime and whatnot. So that's worked out real well for us, and the residents appreciate the service. We do have a large elderly population that has taken full advantage of it, so that way they don't have to put a bunch of material in their vehicle and then bring it out. And as far as like I said, mentioned earlier, the staff participates in the standard operating procedure process. So they're living documents. So as we continue to do our jobs or have those cross-divisional inspections, we can modify those to better fit our needs and to make our processes safety. And if anyone here on the committee would like to see any of those items that we've done, I'd be more than happy to share that information with us, anyone that's interested. And then as far as the pre-work conditioning, that was a huge step. That was actually, we saw the presentation at the SWANA event in Gilbert a couple of years ago. Well, it's been quite a few years ago now, but I was really interested in what was going on with that program. So we brought that here, and we've had Dr. Tony, who oversees IMS systems, come in and teach our staff how to do the pre-work conditioning properly. And next slide, please. Proofs in the numbers. So as you can see, back in 2013 through 2016, we had a real problem with injuries within our division. 2017, we actually implemented the pre-work conditioning program. And then as you can see, as we've increased our SOP and JHA processes, as well as our engineered processes on our vehicles and our administrative controls, we've been able to reduce our number of injuries down to almost zero. So in fact, it has been zero, which we've been very thankful for. At the moment, we are actually going through the voluntary protection program with ADOSH. They've been on our site quite often, so we've been working with them to try to get certified through ADOSH, and that's been an interesting program and process. And I'd also be willing to share any information that we have about that as well. So with that, next slide, please. Any questions? Okay, I believe Frank
Adam,
Sanchez.
sorry,
Yes.
this is Mona.
Oh, hey, Ramona.
I think this is very interesting and I know it was solid waste focused, but I really like how you've incorporated all of Public Works, and I'd be very interested in getting your presentation, and I'll bring it to my group, and maybe we could have a conference call, because we're always looking for good ideas for Public Works as a whole, because we're, you know, I feel like we are first responders before the first responders get there, right? So I think safety, and I really like incorporating the wellness part. So, and maybe even a safety committee that gives them kind of that buy-in. We're also looking at, because of staffing shortages, we're looking at trying to work on a program with cross training different, within our Public Works. So traffic with streets, and streets with facilities, because what we learned in COVID was, well, we, pared them down to, 3 or 4 in a team. But if anyone got COVID in that team, then you were down the whole team, right? So we found that was difficult, because we didn't, we don't have a very good, deep for some of these specialized positions. So this would be really interesting to do for that as well. So thank you. And I would like to reach out to you on this.
Oh, definitely. I'd love to share that.
Hey, Adam, this is Jesse Duarte with City of Phoenix. I just want to reiterate a couple of things you said on, we also here in Phoenix had to revamp our HHW collection and how we did it. And I just want to make sure, you said it earlier, but City of Peoria and the City of Scottsdale for us, and other cities are also as well, but those are 2 major that really helped us in kind of looking at how they did their plan. And then we just upsize it to the City of Phoenix. So we're actually doing home collection as well. So I just want to make sure I said that.
Oh, great. Thanks, Jesse, for sharing that. Anyone else? I believe Frank Sanchez is here from ACT, so we can, Frank, are you online? I see his name there.
Yep. Yes, I am. I just unmuted myself.
So Frank Sanchez is here from ACT to talk about the household hazardous waste management that ACT provides, and I believe Phoenix, and I know Phoenix does use ACT or has, and Goodyear, we currently use them for our curbside program, and I believe they are also assisting other cities with their household hazardous waste programs. So the proper handling and processing of household hazardous waste is critical to protecting human health and the environment. So some of the cities and towns in the region partner with ACT to assist in the collection, disposal, and recycling of household hazardous waste. This presentation will be provided by ACT. Frank Sanchez is here to do that presentation and provide any challenges and opportunities associated, discuss any of those opportunities and challenges associated with household hazardous waste collections. So without further ado, Frank.
Thanks, Adam. I've been involved with household hazardous waste collections now since about 1992 in California and Arizona. I've been a resident of Arizona since about 1995, doing my first collection here about 1994. So I got a little background in managing the HHW waste with different communities throughout the state of Arizona. Next slide. So basically, there's some guidelines to work with HHW. First off, household hazardous waste is a hazardous material. However, EPA has provided some exemptions, so it's a little bit easier to manage the waste when you collect these from households, and it gives some leeway for communities to not have to deal with all the regulations that EPA requires for managing hazardous waste. There's a specific exemption in the regulations that I stated there, CFR 40 261.4. Right now in the state of Arizona, there's no permits reporting required by ADEQ for conducting HHWs. They like to know about them, but they really don't. There's no regulations that regulate them. And again, on that note, there's no reporting required for collection events to the state. And there's no HAZWOP or training mandated by the state for workers. I find that every community or municipality we work with, we each have its own requirements. A lot of communities do require that the workers have hazardous waste operations training. It's probably a good thing so that they know that the staff that's working these events are trained in handling hazardous materials and to the level of them being hazardous waste. So on that note, when we do the collection events, there are some regulations that we do follow. One is OSHA worker safety. Again, workers should be trained in the hazards they're working with. The different jobs that are done at a household collection event, there's multiple jobs: unloading vehicles, handling hazardous materials, handling non-hazardous materials like oils and water-based paints. Those workers should be trained to those type of duties under OSHA. The main one we follow that's probably the most difficult that people don't understand are the federal DOT hazardous materials transportation regs. There is a regulation that requires the properly labeling and manifesting or documentation of shipments of hazardous waste or hazardous materials that we do follow. And basically we're held to those same requirements as any other hazardous material shipper is. And that's something that we, probably the most time consuming part of when we do a collection event are making sure we comply with those regulations. There's those local fire codes. I know when we work with a lot of communities, sometimes the fire department will get involved to make sure that the sites are safe for collecting, to make sure that everything's handled correctly and we don't pose any hazards to the community. And then also any kind of local sanitation codes. Most times household hazardous waste, they're regulated by the state as municipal waste, as what they call non-hazardous materials, regular municipal waste. So we try and follow those guidelines, I guess to a T of how we manage those things. We don't at collection sites, we don't kind of intermingle any kind of waste. We do segregations. We keep the non-hazardous materials away from the hazardous materials. We don't do any kind of treatment of hazardous materials on site. So those kind of regulations we follow. Next slide. Again, our HHW management goals, very simple: keep hazardous materials out of non-hazardous waste landfills and minimize exposure of these materials to municipal workers and the public. I've been involved with a few incidents where hazmat has been put into a residential trash compactor. There's been fires, there's been leaks or spills. And the goal of the HHW program is to keep those materials out of a regular non-hazmat truck, a regular trash truck, to keep them out of the landfills, to stop reactions. And some of the things people don't really think about, there's really some reactive materials that are out there. Most of them are pool chemicals, and we're in the state of Arizona, so we see a lot of that type of material, and that's where most of the problems occur at, is some of those pool chemicals. A lot of oxidizers, things that'll catch fire when mixed with other materials. So the goal is to try and keep those separated, to keep those packed correctly, and keep them from mixing with other materials that could cause a fire. Next slide, please. When communities do have a collection day, I guess the biggest thing is planning. I think Adam knows that that's probably one of the biggest challenges, is try to put together planning. And again, that's something that some of the door-to-door pickups eliminate. You're not having a big collection event with multiple people and traffic control and those type of support you need to run these things. So when we do a collection day, we try and find some kind of data on similar HHW collections, so we can kind of determine the amount of waste that we're probably going to collect and the resources that were used. So, how much package material we need, how many drones do we need, how many people do we need on site to collect and pack the waste? Do we need trash containers, traffic control, all those type of things we try and determine by trying to find data or similar type of collection event for a community. So we can do some proper planning with both the contractor, and also the municipality. We also try and decide on what types of waste we're going to accept. Are we taking everything that comes in, or typical things like paints, pesticides, oils, pool chemicals, like I stated, universal waste, things like lamps, the fluorescent lamps, compact lamps, batteries, multiple types of batteries, lithium, metal hydride, lead acid, those type of batteries, nickel cadmium, electronics. Will that be part of your program too? Things like TVs and computers, printers, those type of items. And then one of the biggest and hardest things to manage are tires. Is that going to be part of your program too? So there's a few things to think about when you're planning to do your collection event, and then also what resources you have in place to make it successful and to basically make it efficient to move these things off site at the end of the day when you do a collection event. Next slide, please. Budgets. Again, for municipalities, planning for collection day. I keep saying collection days. Again, a lot of municipalities are getting away from that, going to more door-to-door type collections, doing more modified type collections. And so you're trying to base your on data collected from similar events. So again, if communities have done events in the past, they can kind of gauge what they've received and anticipate what they're going to get and plan for that. You can also kind of modify your collection events. I've done what's called BOPAs, where you only collect batteries, oil, paint, and antifreeze, and kind of limit the types of materials that you collect to, manage your budget a bit better and to also serve more people in the community. And some of these items that I'm talking about are probably the majority of what we get. Some of the other things that are a little bit more dangerous, like pesticides and pool chemicals, are a small part of collection events. But these items are the large part of what we get, the largest quantities, and of course are not as expensive to manage as some of these other more hazardous materials. Another way to control budgets is basically our participation. You can part of your program when you do your advertising, can you let your community know there's only a certain amount of material that you'll accept? I know sometimes people have more, but when they know there's a limit, they'll be cognizant of what they should be bringing to kind of limit the amount of waste to bring to kind of manage how much you're going to get rid of it at the end of the collection event. And another way is also to set up appointments. We started doing a little bit of that for some different cities and having a collection site set up and only limited participation through appointments. That seemed to work out pretty well to control participation and for planning too. We were able to minimize our resources because we knew what was coming to the collection event, and it made it a lot more efficient. And part of also when you're doing your collection event is determining the resources that the municipality, your community is going to provide. Things like trash bins, personnel to help unload vehicles, any kind of equipment that we might need, a forklift, all those things that the city can provide to minimize the cost of using a contractor. Next slide, please. Requirements for collection day. Location. Probably one of the hardest things I know I find with a lot of communities is a location that has easy access for residents and for also the equipment to do the collection, like trucks. Paved location is the best because we have control there. We can lay down some plastic on the ground so that any kind of leaks or spills, they're on the plastic and not on the asphalt, or create another issue for the collection day. Usually we expect to have a couple of large trucks there, one to collect the waste into, and when that's going to bring the equipment and supplies to support the collection event. Obviously a roll-off bin for trash that's going to be collected from the events, and bins for tires if the program is going to accept that as part of their collection day. Support for the collection day. It takes, for a collection day, it takes a large staff to, direct traffic, unload the vehicles, process some of the non-hazardous materials, and help to unload the vehicles. Those things can be provided by volunteers that the city can provide, or maybe the community provides. We need rescue facilities, any kind of refreshments like water for the workers, maybe food if the day goes long. We don't want people leaving and taking a long time to come back to help clean up and close the event out at the end of the day. And then also a forklift to move full drums and equipment around the collection site. Next slide, please. Advertising, getting the word out to the community. when we first started doing collection events, we didn't have Facebook or Twitter to advertise. I know now a lot of communities use that and use social media to get the word out. Very effective. So it's a good method to use for advertising and getting people to come and use the collection event or collection services. It should include relevant information like date and time, the hours that items will be collected. It's always confusion with people when they see these. They see a date, they don't realize there's a limited time because there's a time we have to collect the material, and then we've got to go ahead and package that up and again prepare for shipment, which is the DOT paperwork. That's a bit time consuming, so that's what we got to be concerned with. Also, the information should also have the items that would be accepted, any items that will be excluded from the collection event, any contacts to call at the municipality with any questions regarding the collection event. And then there's also flyers or electronic advertising can put out there with just specific information regarding the collection event, type materials, hours, just something that people can look at and refer to when they get ready to come out to drop their material off at a collection event. Next slide. A collection day, typically hours of operation. We usually collect materials for about 4 to 6 hours. Again, there's a time of collection, there's a time to set everything up, there's a period of collecting waste, and there's a period of completing the packaging and paperwork to ship off site. So usual setup is about an hour and a half before accepting waste. Set up the collection site. You see this site in the picture. It's got plastic on the ground. There's some tarps for the workers to work under. You see these carts, they're basically loaded when vehicles drop material off, they're moved to different areas to be processed and offloaded. Usually in the morning, we have half an hour operation and safety briefing to let everybody know what their jobs are and what the requirements are for working in the collection site to be safe. And then, like I said, the cleanup and paperwork is usually about 2 to 3 hours after accepting the waste before that's completed, before we're ready to move everyone off site and have everything packed up, ready to go. Next slide. Like I said, that's a pretty much a simple overview of what it takes to do an HHW collection event. And again, there's a lot, usually a lot of questions about what to do. There's a lot of planning, and there's a lot of preparation to do before we do any kind of collection, whether it's the one-day collection or the door-to-door type collections. So, any questions? Anyone?
Hey, Frank, this is Adam. Hey, ACT also provides emergency response for cleanups as well, correct?
Yeah, we provide emergency response for cleanups. Our primary, I guess, business is managing hazardous waste from manufacturers, municipalities. We do aerospace, biotech type companies is probably our primary business line when we're not doing household hazardous waste collection events. We specialize in hazardous waste management. We also do some compliance work too. We actually go out and help manufacturers stay in compliance with hazardous waste regulations, storage requirements, reporting, and stuff like that too.
Perfect. I believe we had an incident spill at one of our water sites with some chlorine or something like that. I believe they had reached out to ACT for cleanup. Yep. Yep. That was a chlorine leak in a confined space in a vault, and it was kind of a touchy situation. So, yeah, we had to go out and evaluate and then respond and get in there and clean that out and eliminate the chlorine that was down in that confined space. I was on the incident review committee on that too as well, and yeah, we had an individual. I guess he was exposed. He had some injuries as a result of that. So I know the response time that you guys had was pretty immediate after that. So, but yeah, great. Is there any other questions from the group? All right, well, thank you, Frank. No problem. Next item on the agenda, Item number 6 is the tentative meeting schedule for the MAG Solid Waste Advisory Committee. Julie?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. On November 18th, we had emailed out the schedule for 2022 for the Solid Waste Advisory Committee to the members, but we just wanted to include it in the agenda packet today as well for your convenience. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I believe we're on to the next item then. Request for future agenda items, topics or issues of interest that the Solid Waste Advisory Committee would like to have considered for discussion at a future meeting will be requested at this time. Is there any suggestions for future agenda items from the group?
This is Patrick Murphy with the City of Mesa. Last meeting we had a presentation about the variance plan and the frequency of collection. And I believe that conversation was going to be forwarded to the members of MAG to see what they had to say about it. Do we know if?
Correct. As far as the variance discussions or anything that should be discussed, this would be something that should be handled at the state level. And this is more of a technical committee that discusses these items. Since it would impact the full state, it would be something that should be handled at that level and not in this committee. I mean, it's definitely, I could see this being a forum to discuss, but for any changes or any of that, it should be handled at the state level.
And so through the legislative liaisons is what you're saying?
I would assume that that would be the proper course of action.
Okay. Alrighty, thanks.
Any other future agenda items?
Adam, this is Mona. If the group would be interested, I could also give a presentation on how we are doing contactless special event drop-offs in Queen Creek and how we've developed that program in response to COVID.
I think that's a great idea.
Also like to say this would be Patrick's last agenda or meeting for this group, and since he's retiring, is that what I heard, in a month?
Yes, yeah, January 6th.
I want to thank you for all your insight and knowledge, and we'll definitely miss you on the different solid waste committees you've served on and helping us set up many of those items like our regional IGA, and we appreciate your input for all you've done all these times and wish you the best in your retirement.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hey, Adam, this is Jesse Duarte for the City of Phoenix. I'd like to see for agenda items, any other cities on their operations on green waste collection, green waste, how they collect it, whether it's curbside or whether it's in containers, or even also their bulk collection process and what they do, just to get an idea of what the other cities are all put together, just to see what they're doing, if that's anything feasible for other cities to look at. And also, Patrick, we'll talk. Don't worry. I'll get you before you go.
Sounds good.
I think that's a great idea, Jesse. I know we've explored green waste recycling here a couple times with different farms around the area, like Duncan Farms and actually Hickman's egg farm as well. So yeah, I think that would be a great topic to discuss.
Yeah, we're looking at with our bulk collection program that we have, we're looking at different ways and how do we sort of separate, because a lot of what we're collecting is green waste in our bulk program. And we're trying to get that out of there. The other thing that we're thinking about, and I believe the city of Surprise is currently, and I don't know if any other cities are doing that, but I know Surprise is, where it's an on-call, it's a subscription. They call in for the service of bulk collection. That's something I'd like to really look at down the line. But if anybody has something like that, it'd be great to hear a presentation on it.
Great. Thank you for the suggestion, Jesse. Was there any other agenda items? Okay. Also, Patrick, thank you for everything you've done for the group and the conversations I've had in the past, and congratulations on your retirement soon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys all take care.
The next item on the agenda is this is an opportunity for comments from the committee. So this opportunity gives you provide solid waste advisory committee members you can prevent a brief summary of current events that are going on in your city or area. We're not allowed to propose or discuss or deliberate or take action at the meeting on any matter in the summary unless a specific matter is properly noticed for legal action. Just throw that in there. So now is the time for committee members to report on activities of interest. So I guess I'll just go from the line from where I'm looking at on my screen here. Jesse, it looks like you're the first one on my list here. So you have anything to report from Phoenix?
Nothing at this point in time. I've been on vacation for at least a week, and I just want to get back and get more information, but nothing right now at this current time.
Okay, thank you. Patrick, did you have anything else or anything from Mesa?
No, not really. Besides, Sherry Collins has been promoted to replace me. And so that was effective last week. And so she unfortunately couldn't make it to today's meeting.
Great. Okay, thanks, Patrick. JB, you have anything from ADQ?
I'll be sending out my yearly recycling survey the end of January. And don't be surprised if you hear from me or some folks from ASU. I'm working with them on a grant doing a feasibility study on hub and spoke recycling for northeastern Arizona, but we are going to probably be reaching out to a lot of stakeholders all over the state. So just to kind of put that out there in case you guys do hear from us. So that's all for me.
Thanks, JB. Stephen?
Thanks, Adam. No updates from the city of Tempe, but I would like to introduce myself since I'm this is my first meeting for the Solid Waste Advisory Committee. So I'm Steve White, Business Manager for the city of Tempe. For the Municipal Utilities Department, I handle a lot of the finances and budgeting and rate studies and so forth for our field operations, which includes our fleet services and solid waste sections, as well as our water and wastewater utilities. So anyway, I'm glad to be here and happy to serve on this committee. So thank you.
Welcome, Stephen. We're glad to have you here. Ramona.
Hi, thanks. From the town of Queen Creek. Most recently, many of the members are also on a widget called Recollect that provides information to residents about where they can dispose of properly and recycle material and which cart it goes in. And we are also using this program with Recollect for scheduling our bulk collections. And so that is working really well. And we've brought that up about 2 months ago. And so our our program for bulk collections is we have 4 zones, and each zone is collected the first day of that week of the month. But it is a scheduled bulk. So our provider, who is Waste Connection / RAD, is provided that list. And so they only go to those homes that have been scheduled. And that works out really well so that they can schedule their resources and know how many vehicles and equipment people that they will need to collect the material. It also, with the new bulk widget, also gives the residents information about what they can provide, or what we will collect and what we won't collect, and other places that they can dispose of if it's not in bulk, such as hazardous material, and it sends them to where to go. But the great thing about what we're working on is that this information goes directly over to RAD in a real time. So it allows us to have a longer time opening for residents to request and schedule the bulk. Typically before, we had to close out the scheduling about a week in advance so that we could compile the information. It also, residents just put in their address, and it knows whether or not they're a town of Queen Creek resident and available to do the scheduled bulk with us, or it will send them to information about, for instance, if they're in Santan Valley, that they can schedule their bulk with RAD directly. So it's really helping our customer service and speeding up the process. And it also will provide us a lot of data in the back end so that we can track how many couches, how many appliances, green waste, etc. So it's going to help us in the future with some decision making. So we're pretty excited about that bulk widget that we've implemented. That's really it from Queen Creek.
Great. Thank you, Ramona. Kason?
No updates from City of El Mirage.
Great. Thank you. Zachary?
No updates from SRP MIC. Thank you.
Thanks. Tracy, anything from Chandler?
Nothing new. I just wish Patrick all the best and wish everyone else happy holidays.
Great. Robert, surprise?
Hey, Adam. Yeah, so for Surprise, we do have one update. We, as most everyone knows, have had a lot of growth in Surprise over the last year or 2 years. And so our routes have been becoming a little lopsided. We had over 60% of the growth on one day that we collect. And so that day was getting quite heavy compared to our other service days. So at the beginning of this new year, we'll be changing our collection the days for half of the city. So there'll be quite the change for a lot of the residents out there. Yeah, so we've spent the last 3 months doing some advertising and a lot of different ways to make sure everyone is prepared for that, and they know if their day is changing and when to. So that's the only update I have from our side of town.
Great. Thank you, Robert. Ron?
Nothing from Florence, no.
Thank you, Ron. Robert, anything from Buckeye?
Yeah, 2 things. First, we're working with our contractor of public services. They're experiencing a significant CDL driver shortage issue. And obviously, it's been experienced for the majority of this year, resulting in a lot of training of new drivers and well, a revolving door with drivers. And with our constant growth, it's causing a lot of educational issues and a lot of miscollections, missing sections of streets and neighborhoods as we've got new neighborhoods coming in all the time. So that's our biggest challenge that we're working with, is just trying to make sure that we're keeping new drivers on board. And actually, I had a question for Ramona, and maybe we could talk about it offline. You're using Recollect. We use Recollect. Well, we've been using Recollect now for 4 or 5 years. Ramona, Queen Creek, how are they dealing with residents that don't want to or refuse to be online? Because we have a fair amount of residents that just don't want to do anything online. So when we've tried to schedule things and do outreach, we have to use a variety of methods. And so focusing only online for scheduling has been a real challenge. But that's, how is Queen Creek dealing with that?
So one way is that we have a option where they can come in, and we have a kiosk in our front counter area, and our customer service can help with that. We do have just a couple maybe that will call and just say, you know, they don't have any family member. We try to encourage, like, do you have a grandkid? Do you have a, you know, son or daughter that can help you, that they have? We have a hard time because most people have a smartphone. If you have a smartphone, you can schedule bulk. So we actually try to help them and walk them through the process, but we've had very few because even, you know, elderly people or people that don't have access have a smartphone. So we've just been trying to work through and get people educated, I guess is the right word.
Very good. Thank you.
I know from Goodyear, we've just started using the app as well. And we notice a lot of residents still want to get mailers, so we still have to keep that option available. And then we also we have a kiosk where our CSRs are at, and we do have residents that still choose to come in and talk to the CSR. So we give them the handout information. So, but that's how we're handling that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Paul?
Nothing to report from Gilbert, but I also wanted to say congratulations to Patrick and thank you for all your help over the years. And you've made my job a lot easier knowing that you're just a phone call away. So thank you and congrats, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Simon?
Yeah, good morning. My name is Simon Lara. I just took over Harold. I guess I assumed this position. So my name is Simon Lara. I'm the new solid waste manager here in Avondale. And yes, we don't have anything at this moment.
Well, welcome, Simon.
Thank you.
Amy?
Good morning. We are getting ready to do some service changes. We currently provide bulk trash and refuse in some of our alleyways. We're getting ready to change that service to move to curbside here starting over the next couple of months. And then we are going to council here in January to get approval for increased rates. That's coming up. And then the last thing, we're gearing up for the holidays. Preparing for our Christmas tree recycling collection that we do. Make sure we have our vendor on board and all the information we need to push out to the public so they're aware of the program. And congratulations, Patrick. Hope you enjoy your retirement.
Thanks again.
Aaron, any updates? Oh, I guess no, Aaron. Anyone else have any updates?
Oh, sorry, I didn't unmute myself. I apologize, Adam.
All good.
First off, Patrick, thank you for everything that you have done for me and the group. It's always appreciated when I can send an email or give you a phone call and you respond very quickly. It's troubling to know that for my next 15 years of my career, yeah, I said it, 15, I'm not going to be able to call you to tap into your resources, but I really appreciate it, and congratulations on your retirement. As far as Peoria is concerned, recently on November 9th, we had our initial Peoria Recycles Day, and we did that kind of in tandem with National Recycling Day. And we had vendors collect e-waste and also white goods. And then we also had a shredding event. We were able to process 613 vehicles, had a very positive response. And so now the residents are kind of asking when we're going to do it again. And we're thinking we'll probably do it twice a year now in conjunction with America's Recycles Day, and then also try to do something in the springtime. And then much like Glendale, we are also ramping up for our Christmas tree recycling event. We actually use roll-off boxes and we place them at 7 spots around the city. Residents dump those, and then we basically will take them to a local composting mulching facility. So really appreciate everybody and the group. So thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Anyone else?
Yeah, this is Jack Callis from Pinal County. I'm just going to report that with the cooler weather, we're doing our community cleanups throughout the county. And then on the 18th of December, we're going to have a BOPA event for the first time for the Queen Valley residents. That's all I have.
Thanks, Jack. As far as the city of Goodyear, we're in the process of looking at restructuring our bulk collection routes. We're in dire need of restructuring. We have some imbalances on some of the areas in our city. It's taking staff longer to get done in those areas. So we're working with a contractor right now to restructure our bulk routes. Hopefully have something in place by next fiscal year. We as well, we also added some more applications to the Recollect app. So we're now using scheduling, or we're doing our scheduling via that app, as well as allowing the residents access to a calendar and service days in there. So that's worked out real well for us. And we're also partnering with A to Z Rentals as far as Christmas tree recycling, and that's open to all the West Valley residents here, including Avondale and whoever else is in the area. That's the A to Z Rentals on Van Buren and Dysart. So as far as updates, that's all I have from City of Goodyear. So if there's no other updates from anyone else, next item would be the business is now concluded. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
This is Tracy from Chandler. I motion to close the meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone, and happy holidays.
Take care.
Same to you. Thank you.